Greetings and salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be talking about some recent 5-star reads. Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some recent reads that I have been absolutely loving. I feel like it's nice to kind of like check in, tell you guys what I'm vibing with. I have 5-star reads that I want to talk about today. These are some books that I've read within like the past 2 to 3 months, and they've quickly become all-time favorites. Also been filming a lot of reading vlogs recently, so some of these books I do have reading vlogs for, which I will leave down below if you want to hear my more extensive thoughts. So everything in this video I love. 5 stars, okay? A few different tropes. I have a sapphic romance, a male-male romance, a why choose romance, so let's go ahead and hop in. Alright, so the first book I want to talk about probably comes as no surprise because I have been raving about this book for weeks now, and that is Serpentine Valentine by Gianna Darling. This book gives me all the feels. Okay, compose yourself, Samantha. Every time I talk about this book, I get like that giddy feeling in my stomach because it really embodies what I love about being a reader. It makes me so happy. I feel like it was so well done. One of my favorite reads of the year so far. This is a sapphic romance. It is a Medusa retelling with dark academia vibes. The first thing I want to say is this is the type of sapphic romance that I have been begging for, literally begging for. I adore everything sapphic, and oftentimes I don't want to reach for a really cute, fluffy contemporary romance. I want something a little darker. I want something a little moodier, and that is what this book gives me. Make sure to read the trigger warnings because it is a darker contemporary romance. So it follows our heroine Lex, who in the beginning of the book is going through a lot. She is essentially assaulted by a man that she thought that she could trust, her professor. That is not a spoiler. It's like in the very beginning of the book. Again, make sure to read the trigger warnings. At the beginning of this book, she is really betrayed by the people that she thought were supposed to protect her. So when she comes back to school, she is wanting revenge. She wants revenge against the man who hurt her and revenge against the woman who covered it up. In that revenge, she ends up seducing the president of the university's daughter. So that's where the sapphic romance comes in. This book is absolutely stunning. The romance is sweepingly romantic. I feel like it really embodies like the general queer experience, and I was swooning over our two characters. Also embodies like female empowerment and female rage. Tell that so much intention and care went into writing this book, and I think Gianna Darling like absolutely nailed it. Writing style is also so stunning. This is a Medusa retelling, so you get a lot of Greek mythology references, classic literature references, and then like a sprinkle of some pop culture references too. The writing itself is very lyrical, kind of reminiscent to like epic classic tragedies. It's just really beautiful, and it quickly became one of my favorites, and it means so much to me now. Reading this book, I felt so seen in a way that I don't in other romance books sometimes, so this was very special. The next book I'm going to talk about was a reread for me. So I read this book maybe 1 or 2 years ago. I revisited one of my favorite books, and it was still a 5-star, and that is In This Iron Ground by Marina Vivancos. If you guys didn't know, Marina Vivancos is one of my all-time favorite authors. If not like my favorite author. I have read her entire backlist and given nearly all of her books 5 stars. I do have a video from a couple months ago where I did a deep dive into all of her books. I talked about all of them, all of the tropes, and some of my favorites, so I'll leave that down below. Prior to this, Marina Vivancos books were only available on ebooks. Only on Kindle Unlimited, you couldn't purchase any of her physical copies, but now she's like slowly releasing paperbacks, and I'm so excited. So this was the first one she released, and I had to reread it. Marina Vivancos predominantly writes queer romances that are sweepingly romantic, but also have a very like heavy discussion on mental health. So make sure to read some of the trigger warnings if you are going to pick up one of her books. This Iron Ground is a male-male shifter romance. It really follows our hero Damien, who after his parents' death gets filtered through the foster system. He gets placed in a home that is both mentally and physically abusive. So one day he decides to leave, and he seeks solace in the forest where he discovers that werewolves exist. He comes across the Salgado pack, and they really take him in as one of their own. He has a special connection with all of them. This has heavy found family vibes. He has a strong connection with the eldest brother Hakan. It's a slow burn friends to lovers romance. It follows our two heroes romance through the span of quite a few years. The book is really so much more than just a romance because it is following Damien's own personal journey. In this book, he learns to love himself, become his true self. He also struggles with mental illness and ADHD, and the representation in this book is just so beautifully written. I highly highly recommend. I wanted to throw this one in here even though it was a reread. I feel like I don't talk about this book enough, and I'm so excited that they are now in paperback. A new release that I really enjoyed was Twilight of Embers by Tessa Hale. Tessa Hale is an author I typically always enjoy. She predominantly writes paranormal and fantasy why choose romances. Audiobooks are always really fun and fast-paced, so like I said, I typically enjoy all of the books I read by her, but this is a new series. It's a part of her, what is this series called? Ember Hollow? Dragons of Ember? What is this series called? Dragons of Ember Hollow. It's the first book in her new series. This is a why choose dragon shifter romance. Heroine is starting college and she's really hoping to fly under the radar. Her parents died when she was really young, and she was also filtered through the foster system. Goes to the university. She ends up having a connection with a couple of different heroes. This is a why choose romance, and it turns out they are dragon shifters. She is their fated mate. It's so freaking fun. You guys know I love why choose romances. More people, more fun, okay? And every hero in this book you just root for. They're like the epitome of book boyfriends. A popular football player, you have a professor, like forbidden romance. This is definitely giving like touch her and you'll die vibes. Very alpha possessive heroes. So if you like fantasy, if you like why choose, this one is a good one to read. All right, and the last two books that I want to talk about are by the same author, and that is Tao Bauer. I started reading some Tao Bauer books late 2023, like in December, and I quickly flew through almost his entire backlist because I am absolutely obsessed with his writing style. Romances have everything that I want. They're queer, they're deeply emotional, they're swoon worthy. I love him so much. So I just want to talk about two of my favorites that I read recently. First one is probably my favorite that I've read by him, and that is You and Me. Oh, this book is so incredibly special. This is a male-male romance, and it is a single dad romance. It starts off by following Luke, who is having a hard time. His wife recently passed away, and he is left raising his teenage son by himself. His marriage with his wife was pretty toxic, so he is healing from that, and he is also trying to connect to his teenage son, who is rapidly drifting away from him. So in a way to get closer to his son, he ends up volunteering for his son's football team, and that is where he meets Landon. Landon is the president of the PA at the school, and they end up volunteering for each other, and it follows their friends to lovers romance. This book is so freaking emotional because not only is it following the romance, which by the way has a bi-awakening in it, one of my favorite things ever. The story itself is really about a father and a son learning to reconnect, and it's just done in such a beautiful way. I was sobbing reading this book, that ugly, deep, soulful cry. I just think everyone needs to read this book because it is so freaking good. And another one that I really loved by him was How to Say I Do. This is another male-male romance that follows our characters Noel and Wyatt. In the beginning of the book, Noel is left at the altar. He's supposed to get married, and his wife literally left him hours before they said their vows. He decides that he is still going to go on their honeymoon, which is at like an all-inclusive resort in Cancun. He plans on just drowning his sorrows in tequila, but when he is at the airport, he meets our hero Wyatt, who is also headed to Cancun because his brother is getting married. It ends up helping Noel when he is at his lowest, and they go to Cancun together. Because Noel was supposed to be on his honeymoon, the staff ends up thinking that the two of them are married, so it has a little bit of like a fake dating trope. Another friends lovers romance with a little bit of a bi-awakening. Another really emotional book. Both of our characters are really going through it and have a lot of personal growth in this book, but they're continuously drawn to each other, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Highly recommend Tao Bauer in general. All right, so those are my recent reads. Five-star reads, and yeah, I had fun talking about them. One of my goals in 2024 was to read more queer books, more books with representation, and I feel like all of these really embody that. We have a sapphic romance, a male-male romance, a why choose romance. Everything is better when it's gay, okay? I don't make the rules. That's just how it is. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what some of your recent 5-star reads are. What emoji should we leave? What emoji should we leave? How about a shifter romance and a dragon romance? So leave me some werewolves and dragons in the comments down below if you stayed this long and enjoyed the video. Oh, and of course, always let me know what you guys are reading so I can read it too. All right, I love you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I'll see you in my next video.